Friends, it's a joy to be here with you today, and thank you for our leadership here and the bells and the choir. I've never been in a church where I didn't get to see the choir when you sang. So, yay, you really do exist. First of all, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. I have a very soft voice, and if you can't hear me, you might as well leave because actually it's not about me anyway. But if you can't hear me, just raise your hand because I have a very small voice. Also, Bill, you told me there was a clock somewhere, and I was curious. Oh, there it is. Okay. So to the highest bidder, how long do you want me to preach? I'm just kidding. It is so good to be here, and I invite you now to pray with me. Oh God, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, because you are our strength and our Redeemer. Last week, I had the incredible opportunity to go back to my home state of Kansas. Any Kansas folks out there? All right. I grew up in this let's be honest, they're pretty much all small towns in Kansas, in western Kansas called Syracuse. But I didn't get to go there. We went to a place called Ashland. It's the county seat of this south central part of the state. And the reason why I went there is because I serve as a trainer for a spiritual formation practice that is used primarily with children called Godly Play. Anybody hear that before, Godly Play? Good. So you won't know if I'm telling you all the stories or not correctly, because I try to tell them correctly, but sometimes I might mess them up. Anyway, the point is, as somebody who has been from Kansas, the Godly Play Foundation, which serves this curriculum, this philosophy in many churches, multi-denominational churches across the U.S., and we're in about 30 countries. It's a practice that is based off of the Montessori teaching style. For those of us who are former Catholics, you may have experienced something called the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. This is something that the founder, Jerome Behrman, felt called to be a part of and created this experience for children. And when I went out there, I was just I couldn't help myself. It was just great to be home. And it'd been about 10 years, and as my friend from Indianapolis, we flew into Wichita and drove about 3 hours to this small little community that has about 800 people in it. And that little town is filled with so many stories. Stories of transformation, stories of pain, stories of growth. And it was so cool to see that in this little town where Jerome Behrman, our founder of Godly Play, grew up, he started the Resource Center to create these manipulatives for children, and churches from all over the world buy these. And these stories that are 3D, some of are 2D, they are literally being used in ways where not only children, but the storytellers, who are typically youth or adults, are being transformed. And so today I want to tell you a story and I want to tell you the story in the way we would share it in Godly Play. And usually when we come out, we sit in a circle and we bring out a parable box. And this parable box is gold with a lid on top. And every time you open it up, something beautiful and wonderful comes out. It's important to be ready when we hear these parables, because if we're not ready, we may not be able to hear what is being said. But here's the grace-filled part. If you're not ready, it's okay, because sometimes it's hard to get ready. You know, in life, so many times we're not ready to do a lot of things, and it's okay. We just have to, as you shared earlier, that Pastor Brooke reminds us of, We just got to step back and take a deep breath. Remember, it's okay to be who we are. So I invite you into this story. Once there was someone who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people began to follow him. Now they heard him talk about a kingdom. They had never been to this kingdom before, and they were so curious, what is this kingdom really all about? So finally, they just asked him, what is this kingdom of heaven about? And then he told them a parable that changed their lives forever. And it is still changing lives, even to this day. He said, the kingdom of heaven is like a sower that sows seeds into the ground, a sower who throws it, but then the birds of the air come and they devour all those seeds. The sower continues to sow seeds and sow seeds on that hard, rocky, stony ground. And when those seeds try to grow, they come up, and the heat of the rock that they're surrounded by causes them to fail to thrive. The sower continues to throw seeds and sows seeds among the thorns. And when the seeds try to grow, they're just squelched by those thorns. Again, that makes it hard for them to thrive as well. And then the sower throws the seeds onto that good, green, lush soil. And the seeds grow and grow and grow and grow. After we share this parable with the children, we enter into a time of wondering. A little bit different from traditional Sunday school where we teach the moral of the story. Instead, we wonder, what is most important? And I wonder how the sower feels when all those birds come and devour all those seeds. I wonder what those seeds really could be. We wonder some more with wondering questions like, I wonder who the sower might really be for you. I wonder why there's so many different types of soil. What's fascinating to me when we talk about this parable with children is the theological dialogue we begin to have. I've heard children say things like, maybe those seeds were given by God, and maybe we're the sower. Maybe it's good to throw seeds on the good soil, but maybe it's more important to throw seed on that hard, rocky soil, the soil that nobody cares about, and they'll never get seed. I wonder who might be the hard, rocky soil. I'll admit, there have been times in my life where I have been that hard and rocky soil. And I'm so thankful for the grace of a sower who threw seed extravagantly upon me to be fed and to be nurtured. When we think about seeds, I had a colleague who told me, here's the good news. We don't have to supply the seeds because God has already given us the seed that we need. That seed is within us. When we are born, we're born with that divine spark to be that all God has created us to be, to plant seeds. And many times we'll never know the impact of the seed that we have planted. For example, in 1938, a young 29-year-old stockbroker from England was just about to get ready to go on his annual ski trip. But he had a change of plan, and he decided instead he wanted to go see a friend who lived in Prague, Czechoslovakia. So he goes to Prague. This is 1938. And when he gets there, he was heartened to see what he saw. He noticed murmuring around where he was staying with his friend, and he heard about the Jewish families who were scared to death. They were living under the Nazi oppression, and they were trying to figure out how to get out of the area. More importantly, they were trying to figure out how could they save their children from this chaos that they found themselves in. So this young 29-year-old, his name was Nicholas Winton, he felt called to do something that was transformational. He decided he was going to figure out a way to get these children out of harm's way. There is already just a plethora of orphanages of these young Jewish children whose parents went off to camps already. And he thought if he could just do something, maybe he could save these children, because at that time, God only knows or knew what was about to happen. So Nicholas, he didn't do speeches, he didn't campaign, he wasn't even a politician. He quietly figured out a way to get 8 trains that would be chartered by him quietly to gather up children to get out of the country and eventually get to England. He did this very carefully and quietly, and eventually the children were able to get to England, and he figured out places where these children could stay, where they could be safe. And a year later, the borders permanently closed. But in that year, Nicholas, he was able to get 669 children out of harm's way. 50 years later, around 1988, his wife was upstairs in the attic and was perusing some things, some documents that were up there, and he found this picture album. This picture album was full of pictures of children from Czechoslovakia with names, with different identifications about each child. She could not believe what she was reading. Who is this man she had married, who planted the seeds of hope, who made such a significant difference in 669 children's lives? Unbeknownst to Nicholas, he was invited by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, to come to their station. And there he was greeted by a studio audience. And one by one, the studio audience stood. They were part of that 669 group of children who had been saved by Nicholas. As you can imagine, Nicholas just wept in tears. He had been found out, but more importantly, he got to witness the seeds that he had planted 50 years prior. Nicholas knew how to plant seeds of kindness, compassion, for mercy. He used his creativity, his ingenuity, you know what word I'm trying to say. He used his God-given smarts, that's a better way to say it, to literally save children. He wasn't seeking any recognition, and he didn't even seek a Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, I just said that. He just wanted to plant a seed of kindness, of love, of care. We're all called to plant seeds. We're not all called to plant seeds like Nicholas. Perhaps the seed you're planting is being a neighbor, like literally a good neighbor to the person who lives next to you by offering just a smile or kindness or a wave. Perhaps they're having a hard day. Perhaps you're being a planter of seed of kindness to the person who's at the checkout clerk, especially when they had verbally been unkind to by the previous person in the checkout lane. Only you know how you can plant a seed the way you can plant it. But we have to do it. We may never see the results like Nicholas did, but many of us, we know this. When we plant seeds of kindness and love, it just feels good. But it can take a lot of risk. And I believe that God calls us to use all of our being, to use all of the goodness that God has created us to be sowers of the gifts and graces that God has given us. And it doesn't matter what age you are. When I was serving in the East Bay in San Francisco, one of my favorite storytellers in this Godly Play program I was telling you about, she had a British accent, and of course the children perked up because, people who have British accents, my bias is that we always think they're smarter than anybody else, right? That beautiful accent is a gift. And Nelda said, Pastor Joel, I'd love to teach. I used to be a teacher for 30 years, but I'm 92. I can't get on the floor with the kids. I said, wait a second. You still have seeds to share. And we worked it out so she didn't have to be on the floor, and we had a little table, and I guarantee you, because I witnessed it, the children loved Nelda because she knew how to plant seeds of kindness and compassion when she told the stories. And so no one can tell me to this day, I'm too old for this, or I'm too young for this. You have seeds to give, even, I believe, till the day, our last day here on earth. So if you haven't thought about planting seeds, I want you to start thinking about it now and wonder what seeds you're going to be planting, all right? Next week, I want each of you to surprise Pastor Brooke and tell her what kind of seeds you are planting. No response? Okay, will you do that for me, just to humor me? I would love to hear stories from Pastor Brooke and say, what did you say? It's nothing I said. It's everything you did by God's grace, by you using the gifts and graces that God has given you here at Desert Skies, in the families that call this place your home. You can make a difference. God supplies the seed, and we get to plant it. Let us pray.